Back for another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. I am Jonathan Howe, Travis Cunningham alongside with me. And this show is, of course, couldn't be possible without our partners at Ohsweken Speedway and our partners at Bicknell Racing Products. Also, be sure to go and grab your tickets for the Vansickle Pet Valu, or from Vansickle Pet Valu for Merrittville Speedway, as well as Lundy's Lane Pet Valu. We'll hear a little bit more about that later in the show. Travis, it is episode 54, if I've got my count correct. So, who will you pick for number 54?
He doesn't race anymore, but he's an American guy that used to come over to run Sportsman a lot. Mark Chitty, I think he was 54. Kyle Tomaski, Scott and Dave Just. I think there's more. There's
I'm
a mini
going
stock
with
I can see with it.
Christopher French.
Yeah. Red and black car, right?
Right. It's like a Ford Focus, I think, type Ford hatchback style body, something like that, right? Yeah, that's who I was thinking. I was trying to think ahead for a 54. If anybody else has any 54s, let us know in the comments on either Instagram or
Bob Slack
Twitter.
might have ran 54 on his go-kart. Can't remember though.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with our winners from Ohsweken. A little bit of a surprise. I wanted to say a little bit of a surprising start.
Not a surprise. No.
Well, I'm starting with the street stocks, and it's kind of surprising to talk about Dave Bailey going into a night being 10th in points. But that was the situation. He was a little bit further back, but he was able to hold off Ryan Beagle, and I thought that was probably the best race from Friday night's action out of Ohsweken. So shout out to Dave Bailey for winning the Middleport Mechanical Thunder Sox over Ryan Beagle, Ryan Dinning, Kyle Wirt, and Christopher Hale. We should also, I guess, want to jump into Liam Martin's big win.
Yeah, that's probably the only race I watched. I rewatched that one. It was definitely pretty hammered down still. Lots of slide jobs and pretty exciting. And
got to give a call to some young guns in that series. Obviously, Liam Martin winning it, but then you got DJ Christie who comes home second, and Darren Dryden had a great run, and Josh Hansen also in the top 5. And then you got the Ohsweken Flyer right in the middle of that sandwich. That was the
story.
Glenn
was the story.
And
no doubt about it.
You know, it was really cool watching the broadcast back on G-Force and seeing Glenn get fairly emotional after the big wreck, of course, last week with Aaron Turkey. It's almost like, do you think like Glenn was doubting himself and whether he was actually, capable of driving at a championship?
I'm sure he was.
Or a
I'm
winning
going
level?
through the same thing right now. And when I finished third at Humberstone at the KOT second race back in 2021 there, it was like a total, okay, you can still do it.
Yeah, so it's definitely a big relief for him. And, he puts a lot into the work, puts in a lot into the racetrack, puts a lot into the series as well.
That was a Glenn Steyer's racetrack. Up top, little rough. People were kind of staying down. He said, F it, and hammered it. I've seen him do that so many times. That's how he's got 50 wins in sprint cars, by going above the rough and praying. And he's good at it. I saw the in-car. He was wheeling it.
Yeah, for sure.
Can definitely wheel that thing. He's a sprint car driver. I know he loves driving that other stuff, but man, you're the best at sprint cars. We all know it. Like 50 wins, but
yeah, right. He is a master of that division. Over in the Strickland's crate sprints, Dale Curran picks up the win over Brett Stratford. Steve Murdoch comes home third, Mac DeMann fourth, and Austin Rose fifth. Meanwhile, championship leader coming into the night, we had Jesse Costa flip not once but twice in 2 different race cars. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. Did he not jump into a second car for the feature after wrecking pretty bad? Right, so that's a tough bit of luck for Jesse Costa.
My mom did fill me in. I didn't get to see it because we were saying goodbye to my pal Carrie. But that's the first thing she said about poor Costa. Junk in his car. And then after winning, which really sucks, there's the highs and lows of racing, which really, oh man, I'm getting sick of them lows of racing. Man, I need some middle ground or a real good run coming up here. But just go high, low there, junk it. And then I think he said a spindle broke on the Turner car. I don't know. I think I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then that tipped over.
Yeah, just a little rollover for the second one, thankfully. But tough break for him. Jeff Elsliger ends up with the win in the HRW Automotive Mini Stocks. Nico Hansen comes home second. Dusty DeBoer, Fabio Oliveri, and Jason Tolton. We are going to update. I've got a spreadsheet going. I'm got to do a couple more calculations here. So I'll probably post up a little update on our Ohsweken fantasy lineups coming up later this week on the socials at Southern Ontario Dirt Show. On Facebook at sods_pod on Instagram and Twitter is where you'll be able to find that. SODS_POD. That wraps up Ohsweken. In terms of sprint car racing this weekend, no 360s at Ohsweken on Friday because the ESS are at Ransomville, and you should be in attendance for that, correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna go down. Yeah, I've been to Ransomville to watch so many times and have pizza logs and fries, and that was like my favorite thing to do on a Friday when I race modifieds. Go watch Ransomville. I just never raced there, and yeah, I'm gonna go give her a try with the ESS tomorrow. Car count might be like not in the high 30s. It might be just like 24 or 20 or 22 or something. So hoping to make an easy 300 US just
Nice.
for a little drive. That's the plan anyway, and then see what happens in the future if I can get in there. Hopefully less dramatic than last time I raced ESS.
Yeah.
That was way too dramatic.
Well, it's one of those things, right? Where if it's dramatic, it means you're working
Oh,
for
it
it, and if you're
felt good
working
though.
for it, yeah, exactly. It feels good. You're working for it, which means you're getting better at your craft. And I think that's how you look on the bright side, buddy. That's
Oh yeah,
do it a
the
little bit
bright
more.
the bright
I know.
side of the last spot in the B main. Yeah,
Hey, you know what? They don't ask
tomorrow will be
how; they
better.
ask how many.
Yep. So yeah,
So,
Ransomville. They had trouble with track as well earlier in the year, but they've been sorting it out. I watched the video from last week. Chad Brockman won.
mhm.
Pete led early and stuff like that. So yeah, someone finally broke Matt's streak over there. Old
Yeah.
Chaddy Brockman.
Yeah, the streak's still going over at Merrittville Speedway, though, as Matt Williamson took the win in the Brian Stevens Memorial. He also won the Pole Dash Challenge for $444. And I want your take on this because if you didn't catch my Merrittville's race recap over on the Merrittville Speedway socials, you might not know that Matt Williamson ended up turning down $6,444 total to win. At one point, it was up to $4,444, and then sportsman division sponsor, Right Choice Auto and Leisure Sportsman, kicked in $2,000 at the last minute, trying to get Matt to drop from pole to the tail of the Brian Stevens Memorial Field to try to win it. And if he won it, that's what his take would have been. It would have been a crazy amount. Would have been a crazy feat. Starting 21st to try to win it in 44 laps. Instead, he elected to stay pole. His reasoning that the race just kind of means too much to him and to some of his crew members on that S&W service number or S&W service center number 6. So I definitely see it from the emotional standpoint. I also see it from the financial standpoint of it's so easy to get a car in a wreck by coming through the back of the pack. And when the car is as good as what Matt's got right now at Merrittville, no sense in junking it over a couple extra $1,000 that he may or may not have even won anyways.
So how much was it? How much was it base pay? Like how much did he win?
So $29.44 was what it was going to pay no matter what. That's what he
And then
walked
he'd
away
already
with.
banked the other 444.
Yeah.
So he was already around 3. So it was
Yeah.
almost another $3,000 though.
Yeah. So, yeah, because there was 1,500 that was kicked in from James Little, and then the way the math worked out with the pole dash challenge and all that stuff, it was going to come to $6,444, I think,
Yeah.
total for him to win it. So, yeah, it was crazy that he turned all that money down. I felt like Howie Mandel on the front stretch trying to make a deal with the guy, but it was certainly entertaining. Um, if you were in Matt's position and you were riding a 4-race win streak and you've been winning everything
I
else under the sun,
yeah.
would you have dropped to the back?
The dead last is tough. I don't know. Even though like when I started racing modifieds and we were handicapping, like we would handicap 18 cars. So like Pete back in the day had to always come from 18 because he was always the worst in the handicapping. So 21st isn't that much farther, but it is 3 cars farther. And it's a pretty good payday anyways. So if you don't make it, you're making a couple $100 if you do get wrecked. Whereas you knew he had a real good shot at the 3,000 plus starting on the pole. And all the sentimental stuff, I do get that too. Definitely, because Brian was an awesome dude. And I know Melissa hangs around. I see her in the pictures, I think. And yeah, just Ray being his crew guy. And all those stories we got awesome last year on the pod. Check that episode out in the archives if you want to hear all the good stories from Ray about Brian. And yeah, I can see it either way. Dead last is tough. And it's just people are so even these days.
Yeah.
I do think he could have done it, but that was his decision.
It's so hard
He
too with
didn't have
Matt
to do it.
because he's so humble, at least when he speaks about racing with the Merrittville guys. He really doesn't. I don't think he takes it for granted, and I don't think he talks about in the speech or in the post that I made. Talks about doesn't want to be cocky or arrogant, and I think that's the right way to approach things. So, especially for a guy who's now riding a 5-race winning streak, he has not lost a race at Merrittville Speedway yet this year in the modified. So. We'll see who's it going to be to take him down first.
Yeah, it wasn't much extra laps either, so
No, right?
maybe a longer race would have been a little bit easier to take, but it was only like 9 more laps, so get caught up because like you can get caught behind guys battling, right? And then you can't do nothing no matter how good you are when guys are battling, unless run them over. And definitely don't want to do that running up. Save that up for the road, Maddie, but he usually does that anyway. But
yeah, for
drives
sure.
pretty clean around here.
So
not that I'm saying he drives dirty on the road, but
no, he just is a lot more. I don't want to say competitive.
It's cutthroat out there.
It's fierce.
Like,
he has to be a lot fiercer. Whereas
driving against other professionals.
On
the road.
Yeah. It's like getting called up to the big leagues, right? So
yeah.
I wanted to ask you now about the idea of a bounty, and my problem, because there was a few of us that kind of talked afterwards, is like, oh, we're gonna put a bounty on the rest, like on Matt Williamson. Is the rest of the field gonna earn a little extra pay at Merrittville now to try to knock him down? But the way the handicapping system works, I don't know if it's all that advantageous. Like I feel like the handicapping system doesn't allow for a bounty to really work all that well, because if Matt starts, I think he's even won from 12th already this year, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. Maybe the furthest he's started back maybe was 6th or something. But even if he started 12th, I don't necessarily believe that a Gary Lindbergh or a Ryan Susie or a Pete can go and get the car lengths they need right out of the hop, the way Matt's been carving through fields and stuff. So I don't know. Do you want to see some kind of bounty system on Matt Williamson at Merrittville?
The only thing I hate about bounties, like they put it up, and then if the guy wins, they don't give it. Like nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like maybe if he wins, give him a little bit of it, and then leave the remainder, and then keep going up and up and up. Maybe something like that. But that'd be fun. Some people have opinions on bounties, but
yeah,
we're almost there.
I just don't know if it matters, because I just think Matt's just that good right now, and when he's hot, he's hot.
He's going to eventually lose one of them.
So who's it going to be? Who's going to be the first not Matt Williamson modified driver?
I'd say any one of the guys in the top 5 in points. Probably one of them suspects.
Yeah, that's probably a fair call. So if I'm looking at the points right now, Pete Bicknell is 2nd, Ryan Susie is 3rd, Gary Lindbergh is 4th, and Dalton Slack 5th. And I'm feeling pretty good about those.
We could even say top 10 in points, because Scott Wood, you didn't say.
Yeah, I didn't say Scott Wood.
He can always ring one off.
Yeah, I got to give a call to Boyd McTavish, sitting 9th in points.
Boyd has been wheeling.
Yeah, has absolutely been wheeling. So, and Todd Gordon up in the top 10 in points too.
Yeah.
Rousey and Freddie rounding out the top 10 as well. Freddie in 6th, Rousey in 8th. So,
yeah, Freddie can wheel. Freddie could snap one off.
Yeah,
did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the mods are as good and as competitive. Like, I know we're talking about Matt Williamson covering the field right now, but the mods are as good and as competitive as they've ever been, I feel like, at Merrittville in my short time with the racetrack. So this has been a blast so far this year. And I just want to keep it rolling. Also, we should talk about the other series. I mentioned some of the other winners. James Friesen back in victory lane in the Sportsman, wins it over Justin Sharp. Sharpie had a good run, as Todd Gordon pointed out in the caption of my video. Sharp really had control of that race up until a late restart as well. So great run from Sharpie. Cody McPherson ends up 3rd. Ryan Ferry also had a really solid run in the 1F.
Nice.
He was towards the front half of the field and ended up finishing 4th. And Heavy Chevy rebounded from being involved in a wreck on like lap 2 or 3. I think he was spun out or got spun or spun out on his own or something. He already started 16th, drove up the field after the incident, drove from tail to 5th. So Heavy Chevy with a great night as well in the 12 in the Sportsman.
Yeah. There was some, we didn't talk about, wasn't there drama?
Well, yeah, I didn't really see it. That's my problem is I do believe there was an incident between
I heard it
Nelson
was.
Mason, his crew, and Rob Knapp, as Rob Knapp kind of drove fast through the pits. Rob Knapp was, I think he started top 5, if I'm not mistaken, then got spun out. And I'm not sure if it was deliberate or if it was just he was speeding through the pits and Nelson Mason's crew was in the way, or maybe the Nelson Mason car was in the way. Either way, it was not a great look in the Sportsman in terms of pit side action. And I definitely think all eyes are going to be on the 2K. And I don't know.
I
It's just one of
guarantee you they'll
those.
probably start side by side next week.
Oh, always, right? It always seems to be
Always.
they
Or
can't get
front
away
back.
from each other. I'm pretty sure they've had issues since like the first week's racing, and Nelson hasn't been able to finish half the races he's been in, unfortunately. So I know he's not out there long enough to get a lot of drama going. But yeah, it's one of those things that I didn't see personally, so I can't really comment on what exactly happened. We're just kind of hearing through the grapevine, but I just would say that
I thought there was bumping and rooting in the mods too. Gotta love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, well, that was Brad Rouse and Pete Bicknell, as Pete made some contact with Brad Rouse and kind of turned him under caution of all things. And then Rouse was not happy with that. There was no penalty that came for Pete, and Rouse was also not happy with that. And yeah, just those two have a little rivalry growing. So we're hitting about that time of the season where certain people are starting to wear on each other, and patience is starting to run low at as we're starting to stretch into June now. The Hoosier
That is what I
Stocks,
love about the mods and the
yes.
sportsmans.
Well,
How they can just,
I
when they're mad at each other, bump each other a little bit under caution, showing you ain't happy.
yeah,
Fun stuff like
and
that.
I should point out also that the mods were voted the race of the night over at Merrittville Speedway. Something we're doing now on the Merrittville Speedway socials is at the end of the night going into Sunday. You might see it pop up on Sunday. On the Instagram stories, we're going to start having a race of the night poll, and we're going to try to do it so no series can win it 2 weeks in a row. So even if the modifieds have a really great feature race again this weekend, we're going to try to shine the light on some of the other series. So
Ooh, I
fans who
like
are
that.
there, I
What if
know.
there's a banger? Like, what if there's the banger of all bangers this week?
Well, talk to Instagram because they don't have a way to put 5 options on one poll. And I think it's kind of weird that you would have to click through multiple stories because then you could vote on multiple polls and then it just gets complicated. So I say spread the love around and mix it up, especially because I kind of thought it was an upset that the modifieds got voted race of the night because I thought the Hoosier Stocks were the race of the night, especially because Jim and Donnie
There
Lampman
was
did all they could to race 3 wide for the lead as long as they possibly could in that feature. First with Jason Fontaine, who led early, and then found himself in a Lampman sandwich. Then on a restart, or I guess before the restart, Dave Bailey tracks down the Lampmans. He finds himself in the middle of them, driving through the middle lane. Donnie Lampman was slinging around the high side. Jim Lampman, the veteran, was coasting around the bottom side for the lead. And then on the restart, Bailey and Beagle both were able to finally slip through that Lampman sandwich and finish 1-2. Bailey wins it, sweeps the weekend in the street stocks. Beagle comes up second, Jim Lampman third, Jason Fontaine fourth, and Donnie Lampman fifth in the Hoosier Stocks.
Dave Bailey's back.
Definitely back. It's kind of hard to say he fell off when it was a mechanical issue, but the guy is rolling right now. But Ryan Beagle's right there, man. They are going to be.
He's got shirts now.
Yeah,
I have to get one.
I'm on Team Big Dog. Not that I pick sides, but I
Yeah, you
absolutely
just
love
did.
that we. Well, no, what I love is that I love having a driver that can rival the success of Bailey because I feel like a lot of people in the Southern Ontario region have not sick of Dave Bailey. I, for one, am not because I love watching master classes and driving. And every time you watch that Brewster Baker 49, it's a master class. But now I can know that I can't guarantee every single feature is going to be won by Dave Bailey because Ryan Beagle has been so good. The Lampmans have shown up in a big way. We've seen Pete Reed take a win. We've seen Mark Fawcett be competitive, and he's going to get some wins this year for sure. The Hoosier Stock class to me is
Don't
just in
forget
such
Rob
a great
Murray. It's
Rob
almost
Murray.
mid-season when he
Rob Murray,
starts winning.
Ryan
I always say,
Dinning. Ryan
yep.
Dinning's been great to start the year so far. There's maybe 10, 12 drivers that can easily win a feature at any given racetrack in the Hoosier Stocks or Street Stocks, wherever you want to
I
call
love our
them.
street stocks.
Oh, we got it good up here. I'm telling you, that is a
I
great
agree with
class.
on that.
Yeah.
Ransomville went to the late model looking street stocks, and they struggle for cars big time.
Mm-hmm. No.
And we got tons.
Yeah, we've got it good right now for sure. Rona Deutsch Mod Lights. Brent Bigelow wins round 5 of the Josh Leiter Bigelow duel. These two just keep going back and forth. Rob Meisner comes home third, Chris Watson fourth, and Leroy Buscombe fifth. Now I believe that should put Brent Bigelow into the lead of the points as Tyler Winger slipped back. It was pretty crazy. Tyler Winger was leading the points without a win, and Josh Leiter and Brent Bigelow were even on the season series. But right now, give it 3 wins to Brent and 2 to Josh as they run in the mod lights, if I've got that correct.
Someone put up some money for both of them to start tail.
Ooh, now we're talking. I like that. We can I can see that happening. Maybe Rona
A
Doge
couple more
kicks in.
weeks.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. See if anybody else can creep in for a win in the next couple weeks. Something that was interesting, Brent did point out that he's been racing a black based car with red numbers, a Savage chassis entry. Not his typical Seaway Fluid Power red 16 with I think white lettering. Sometimes it's been black, I think, this year. So he might be switching cars coming up, depending on what Josh decides for the 16 and Brent Bigelow. So watch for that, race fans, because that could heavily affect things. Cole Hardy gets the win in the Vansickle Pet Valu PV on the lane 4 cylinders. He is also our guest because he's got quite a story to tell in terms of what he overcame during the pandemic and his health problems to be back full time with us in the 4 cylinders. And he's also on a pretty hot streak right now after almost winning the first week and then a flat tire dropping him back to 9th with like a lap or 2 to go. He's got 2 third place finishes and now a win in his 4 races this season in the 4 cylinders. He won it over Tyler LaFontaine, Kyle Rothwell, Alex Riley, triple pack of TMR cars there, and Kenny Hare comes home in 5th in the 5K.
Yeah, Cole Hardy got his win back, and like you said, yeah, awesome story. It was awesome to chat with him. We did it just before we hit our hit here, and yeah, our guests are gonna love it.
Yeah, so
Our listeners.
yeah, stay tuned for that one. As always, if you want to keep up with the results from Merrittville Speedway and Ohsweken Speedway, visit their websites. Ohsweken Speedway is ohswekenspeedway.ca, and merrittvillespeedway.com is where you keep up with all things Merrittville. Looking forward to this weekend's events. At both racetracks. Of course, GeForce TV going to have the action from Ohsweken. You got to be there in person for Merrittville. We've got a doubleheader with Enduro on Sunday, Wreckfest Light or Wreckfest Junior, I think we're calling it, and Saturday night, Best Appearing Dog. Everybody, good luck trying to beat my dog Finnegan because he is the bestest boy of all time and a very cute dog at the racetrack. But one of my favorite nights. And we also got the Action Sprint Tour. So if you're close by and want to get extra reason out to Merrittville Speedway, come and check out some crate sprint racing. The folks from Vansickle Pet Valu and PV on the Lane aren't just fans of your favorite four-legged friends, they are race fans too. That's why Jeff and Rhonda Riley, as well as their staff, have teamed up with Merrittville Speedway to make your race day experience more convenient. Race fans can now pick up tickets for race nights while grabbing the highest quality food, treats, toys, and accessories for their pets from the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls locations. Each grandstand ticket will also have a voucher that can be used in-store for a free pet bath at their dog wash stations. Drivers and crew members can also skip the line by purchasing pit passes in-store, giving them more time to get their rides ready for Saturday nights. Check out Vansickle Pet Valu across from Best Buy and Walmart on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines, and PV on the Lane at the corner of Kayla Road and Lundy's Lane, Highway 20.
Yep, and I'll be at Brighton on Saturday for the Paul Picone Memorial, second SOS race of the year. I think we got 18 or 19 cars confirmed so far, so that should be a good race too. And yeah, looking forward to that. And one thing I wanted to say about Ohsweken last week, remember we were kerfuffled about Mac DeMan's DQ?
Yeah.
Mac DeMan got back to me and he said there was something, I forget what it was. They were checking something, it wasn't working, so they confiscated the part and sent it out, came back, and they did give him his 3rd place back. So
okay, that's good. I'm glad we got that.
I wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate the update from Mac. And I wanted to also touch on something we kind of got into last week was the attendance situation at SOMS and the SOS debut race of the season. And this is not an exclusively SOS issue. It's
No.
just a kind of thing that racing, racing promoters and racers themselves, racetracks, everybody's going to go through this and feel the effects of the fact that it is expensive to go racing right now, and it's expensive to make hauls. The ESS are not getting, super high car counts either. It's just a situation of where
Well,
people have a hard time traveling, right?
the ESS, like when they race in Central New York, they get tons of cars. Like
Exactly.
when I was at Fulton, there was 32. Utica had 30. When they went to Brewerton and Fulton back to back, I think there was 34 and 36. But then, yeah, last week they went to a couple tracks a little farther away, Albany, Saratoga, which is an awesome track. That's one on ones on my bucket list. Always wanted to hit there, but that's like like about an hour and a half from Syracuse area or so in the Albany area. So yeah, they only got 19 cars there,
Hmm.
and then the next night they went to Orange County Fair Speedway, and I think they only got 16 or 17. And like they had a couple guys fill in, like there was a 410 guy, Joe Cater or whatever. He like lives 12 minutes away, and he has a 360 just for when ESS goes there. And Carberry, Adam Carberry,
Hmm.
he runs URC. He showed up because their race rained out, so they got a couple extras there. But yeah, it's just tough sledding. The way it goes. So they felt it too. They didn't get. They still got 16, not quite as bad, but
Hmm.
definitely not the 34 that they had the week before Fulton and Brewerton. So
Yeah. So it kind of is going around all racing series. It's just kind of the way she goes. I'm sure that when you made the point, if we had started things out at Merrittville Speedway, we would have seen a really high car count then. And we'll see a high car count again when they do hit Merrittville and places that are a little less of a taxing drive on some drivers. So I'm not too worried about the series. I think it's going to be a great night at Brighton for you guys in the Paul Paconin
that's a for
Memorial.
sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to your report back from that one for sure.
Brighton's another place where there's always like 18 to 24. There's never,
Hmm.
I think, even during the COVID years when no one we got like 25 or 26. So
Hmm.
that's perfect for Brighton, though,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where you don't want to overcrowd it because then you
And
get
like,
sending a whole bunch of guys home, and that kind
yeah.
of sucks too. But
And most people only got one motor around here. That's the main thing.
hmm.
Yeah. And they only want to put 25, 30 most on it. But like a track like Maryville, when it gets super slick, like those nights aren't hard on motors, but Ohsweken's been a little bit more hammered down this year, so those kind of nights are a little bit harder on motors, whereas like last year would have been a little easier on the motors at the res. And it's going to get that way eventually because I'm pretty sure they're not going to run the Pinty's cars on the cushion I saw in the Rumbles. Although it would be exciting to have a little bit heavier track for the Pinty's race,
I
but
mean,
they're definitely going to have her smooth,
they
like
got two nights.
tabletop smooth by then.
What if you
If
kind
it
of mix it?
rains or
Yeah.
something and it's going to be interesting if that ever happens, and then like the track would be a little, because I don't know if they take the windshields out like the NASCARs or not.
I
What did they put the
believe
screens
that's.
in?
I'm trying to remember now. Now I'm trying to throw it back. Somebody can write in and correct us if I'm
I think they left
right.
the screen
I think they
windshields
left
in.
the windshields in and then they cut out maybe around where the driver sees through
Yeah.
or
So
something.
yeah,
Maybe it
maybe
wasn't a full screen. It was a windshield
I
and
don't
then
know.
kind of like kind of crossed bars or something in front of it. But yeah, we'll have to watch for that this year. We'll see. I feel like the Pinty series is going to bring a new package, maybe, or maybe they've learned some stuff and maybe going to make some changes for this year's race. I would assume, but we'll see. That's something I'm looking forward to this summer, and details on that, of course, can be found at
Like
OshwekenSpeedway.ca.
yeah. What else? What else we
Well,
got?
we've kind of talked about teeing up ESS of Ransomville. We should probably dive into some other places that Matt Williamson's been running because now he is the points leader over in the short track Super Series.
Yeah, I just thought that was cool. I wanted to touch on it because last week we talked about how they had that little rivalry going, but what was that? Tuesday night
Hmm.
at Outlaw Speedway Short Track Super Series. They started like, of course, Matt was 8th, Shepard was 10th, so right one another, and they raced through the field, and yeah, they put an awesome race. Left each other just enough room. They didn't make much contact, and it was two pros going at it. It was fun to watch. They didn't quite get to the front though. There was an upset win. Who the heck was it? Corey Costa was the winner. Outlaw Speedway local. Alex Payne led most of the race, and he's just a young kid, and he blew her off the end of turn 1 and 2, gave it to Costa, who was all over him the whole race. And then Payne was even shedding a little bit of a tear in victory lane because he was so emotional about it. I can feel that giving a race away like that. I felt for him.
Hmm.
But yeah, bit of a upset. No, it wasn't upset at Outlaw. You don't see
Well, I
that quite as
mean,
much anymore.
Chris Moore literally started his story over on the shorttracksuperseries.com website. Unpredictable. Last lap pass lands Corey Costa in Short Track
Yep.
Super Series victory lane. And
And then, yeah,
that's a great way to sum that up. So, yeah.
now Matt's leading the points in that region, and him and Super Matt had a wicked race. Super Matt did get a flat, so Matt Chipper got a flat, had to go tail, and got back up to 11th for just a few laps. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of ruined their, because he had got to third and got by Williamson
Mm-hmm.
just before that. So yeah, it was a heck of a battle between those two, and really clean, fun
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah, good stuff. So, after some of the, I guess, drama, we'll say, over the last little while, that
Just
was
a
good to see.
little
Just a
fire
little,
in the face. Selling
yeah,
some shirts.
exactly. Selling some merch, making some headlines. And I'm sure I've talked to a few guys who are from close to the Matt Williamson camp, and they say when he gets back into victory lane over in the Super Dirt Car Series, just watch. That's what I was told to do. So,
Well, his last victory lane, like when he called people keyboard warriors, I wasn't. He was talking about the Hard Clay Observer group on Facebook, and I
mhm,
wasn't in that group yet, so I went and joined it. So to be fair, he's giving them viewers too.
exactly.
They love it. They don't care. They just love playing it up.
Yeah, it's all about the conversation and keeping the conversation going. Something that we're still talking about, but for once, we're not talking about any real drama or injury situation, flip situation. The High Limit Series.
Yep. Old Kyle Larson put it to him again. Took home 28,000. They did the dice roll this time, and this time the way they did it was they just rolled, and then whatever they said no rolled again. It was a 10, and then the guy said no, so they just gave it to the guy starting 10th. If you win, you're getting an extra 10 grand. And it was Aaron Reitzel again. That's who happened to one of the other times, but he didn't get her done. Larson got her done. Brent Marks was out front early, and I texted in our group chat with my crew guys. I'm like, the 19 car is a little too tight on the cushion. I don't know, but he was running up there, and then got a little bit of a bump. Well, not a little bit. There was a huge bump going into 1 and 2. There was just one spot, but a huge crater that they were hitting, and he hit it wrong one time and flipped out of the lead. So that was pretty intense. And then yeah, slide jaws between Larson and Rico. That track was pretty heavy. The heat races were pretty locked down. There was a little bit. I think 2 cars almost ran into each other trying to come on the track for qualifying. So there was a little bit of kerfuffle, but nothing major like last time.
Mm.
Where yeah, Larson stopping on the front stretch to give Rico his spot back after he Mark Martined it. I still can't believe that one happened.
Yeah,
But
it's
a lot less low key, yeah, for this race. And Larson smokes him again.
bit standard. Yeah, a bit more standard. So
It's basically just an all-star sprint race.
yeah,
Extra money.
right. Which is good if somebody can beat Kyle Larson. So hasn't happened in the
crowd
couple
at that
weeks.
race, we should touch on that.
Yeah,
Because the place was packed because it was the first time that track's like, I think, more of a 360, 305 track.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, Nebraska hadn't seen 410's in over 11 years, and they completely packed the joint, lined up 9 miles down the road. I'm sure Kyle Larson had something to do with that as well, but I'm sure it still would have been pretty packed as well if it was just 410's, no Larson. But yeah. Kyle Larson put 10-mile line down the road, and that's why that series is good.
What's it going to take to get the 410's north of the border?
No borders. We're screwed.
What if
start a 410 class up here? That's about it. We had you missed the heyday, man, of the Outlaws coming. Oh, it was good. I tell that to every young driver these days in sprint cars. I'm like, sucks to be you guys because I got to run with Steve Kinzer. It was great.
What if I told you, and this is all just rumor and speculation at this point, but there are talks of Montreal hosting a NASCAR Cup Series race next year. What if if Montreal gets that race, would Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet consider bringing the High Limit Series north of the border as an experiment?
Ooh, if you want to make money, Quebec's the place to do it.
Right?
Because they would pay $100 to get in for that.
Right.
They wouldn't even care.
Which track would you go to?
Oof.
Would it be Granby?
Granby or Drummond?
Granby or Drummondville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the two. Granby's big and fast like Knoxville. I've never been to Drummond. I have been to Granby.
So I'm just floating that idea out there. If anybody's got any connections with the High Limit Series, and then somebody wants to pass along Kyle Larson or Brad Sweet's phone number to me, I think there's an opportunity for something very, very special to happen in
You're
Canada
dreaming
next
because
year.
it's just too hard for them to get over the border, but
I know. know.
I
You
know.
never know. You never know. If there's a will, there's a
Short
way.
Track Super Series is coming.
And the Super Dirt Car Series is coming. So
Modifieds are just more used to crossing the border. Always have been, always will. Because Mohawk's close to the border, Cornwall's like the
yeah.
Ransomville, Merrittville.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're just used to it a lot more.
Well, it all comes down to the almighty dollar, and if somebody puts up enough money, somebody will bring a 410 series north of the border at some point. I think,
I hope
but
you're right.
I hope so too. On that note, why don't we jump to our guest, Cole Hardy? He has an interesting story to tell. He's more than just a mini stock driver. He's a past champion of the series. Has an interesting little note about Humberstone Speedway and how he secured his championships there. We get into some of the health difficulties he faced and overcame during the pandemic, and now he is a regular threat in the mini stocks once again in a full season. So exciting to talk to Cole. That interview coming up next on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon and set to begin May 19th. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunder stocks, and mini stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak, with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANACURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing Products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.BicknellRacingProducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing. And joining us as our guest this week on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast, it's last week's winner from Merrittville Speedway in the Vansickle Pet Valu PV on the lane 4 cylinders. Cole Hardy, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thank you for having me on the show and getting a chance to talk to you guys.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I think we had some messages exchanged a little earlier in the season about your good run, and it was good to see you back full time this year. And yeah, how good did it feel to return to Victory Lane this past Saturday?
And it was unbelievable, to be honest. I didn't think I was actually able to go back to Victory Lane after everything that's went on this year, like opening night, leading basically the whole race, getting that right rear flat, and then the 2 following weeks after that, I got top threes, which isn't bad, but we were just expecting a little bit more. And then last week, it was just with the slick track. I was up there battling with John Lubeck, and the cards just fell into place, and we ended up in Victory Lane.
Yeah, just tell us a little bit more about the race Saturday. Where'd you start and like all that stuff? You said you
Well, I
battled with
started.
Lubeck.
Yeah, I started in seventh, and I think by maybe lap two, I was up to second or third, and then me and Lubeck battled for I don't know, I want to say probably about 7 to 10 laps, and then going into turn four there, the one lap car came down, got into him, and then I think Tyler got into the back of him, and then I didn't see Lubeck after that. We had a caution, and then yeah, I kind of just stayed in the lead after that, and we got the win.
Yeah, it
Nice.
was one of those like turns of fortune for you after, you had your bad luck, looked like you had a surefire win the first week, and then you get that flat tire, fall back to ninth. And then this week it's the opposite where you're trying to chase down the leader and then you get a little bit of good fortune. So that had to feel good. Cole, just take us back to the very beginning. How did you get your start in racing and what brought you to where you are now with the four cylinders?
Well, growing up, my dad and all my uncles did all the enduros at Merrittville and Humberstone. So growing up, I think I was probably about around five when my dad started doing the enduros and stuff. And just growing up around the racing industry and stuff. When I turned 16, I did my first enduro. I got hooked, and then I just got tired of doing the once a year enduro thing. So I bought my first truck off of Adam Nichols for the Pro Ford trucks when they had those at Humberstone,
Nice.
and then racing once a week at one track, and there was only a few trucks. I decided the next time I'd just step up to the mini stocks, and then Jason Coutu gave me a ride for a year, so I got my feet wet. And then after that, I built my first car. We ended up winning the championship at Humberstone in 2017. Moving on to 2018, we raced Merrittville Humberstone full time, won both those championships, and then we also won the first ever duel on the dirt championship. And then, yeah, we went on the following year and tried all three tracks Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we didn't have that great of a luck that time. We did the nosedive at Ohsweken. About 2 weeks later, we rolled the car at Humberstone, and it just snowballed from there. And then I had heart surgery in 2020, so that laid us off for a bit. And yeah, it's just been a big, long road to recovery. And 2 kids later, and we're back to have some fun with everybody.
So yeah, just I never knew about your heart thing. So do you want to get into that a little more and like how hard it was to come back during that kind of stuff, dealing with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born with a hole in my heart, and so I've always been, you know, allowed to do certain things and all that. So when I kind of went to the side where I wanted to start racing and stuff, my mom really didn't like the idea, but I was just that's what I wanted to do. So in 2020, they were telling me that I had to have surgery again. So they replaced both of my valves in my heart, and it was just a long road to recovery, especially that like it was during COVID. So like, and I was in Toronto, so there wasn't a lot of like people coming to visit and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we also had a 3-month-old daughter at the time too, so that was really tough. And
Rough.
so we were just my wife would take me to the track during 2020 and 2021, and just to see everybody and just be around people just felt nice. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we just finally made our way back to being able to compete full time and back to my second family.
Was
Yeah,
there ever a
heck of a
time?
comeback.
Yeah, was there ever a time that you kind of thought that was it and racing is over, or was this kind of always because it's something you've kind of known about your entire life? You knew that one day you'd be able to get back behind the seat.
Yeah, it wasn't. I probably had that part in my mind that I think maybe I was never gonna actually get back in behind the wheel, but just the motivation from my family and my friends and stuff, and just taking the time to actually fully heal before getting back behind the wheel. I even talked to my doctor, and he said, "Give it a few more years, and then you can probably get behind the wheel. We'll do some more different kind of tests and stuff, and see how your chest's healing." And yeah, he told me last year, "Have at her, get back in that seat, and see if you can keep riding."
That's amazing.
Yep. My go-to usually when I don't know a person that well when we interview them is why'd you pick the number? Why are you number 7? 7T.
Uh, to be honest, I just it was always been my favorite number. I don't even know exactly why. It's just I I don't know. I've always liked seven, and then I even when my wife was having our daughter, they told us we'd have to have a scheduled C-section. I was like, man, we should see if we can have it on the seventh. But then they were like, and then I guess they were booked that day, so they ended up having it on the eighth. But it was, yeah, it was. I don't even know. It's just I like the number, and then we just added the C because at the time the Wileys were also racing the number seven, the
Right.
mini. So just add that number, and then um, when they left, it was just me running seven, and then when I come back 2 years later, we got Justin Denabriga and the Cuses running the seven as well. So it's just in that time of leaving, and like when I was there running, Volkswagens were basically the thing, and it was just Tyler running the Cobalts, and then I come back and there's all these different kind of makes of cars, and everybody's basically almost on the exact same like equal playing level. And so far we haven't had a repeat winner either, so it's been a fantastic year of just watching different people win and everybody go out and have fun. And yeah, there hasn't even been any disputes or anything. Everybody's having a good time afterwards in the pits, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to ask you about the whole Volkswagen versus Cobalt thing because you have that perspective of being away, and now, I don't want to say the majority of the field is running those Cobalt, Pontiac style cars, but a large portion of the field is, and we've had Tyler LaFonzi on to talk about it. We've had some other mini stock guys who have been in both, like an Alex Riley. So from your perspective, because it doesn't seem like the difference has slowed you down one bit. You've been very competitive in all these races and had a chance to win in that Volkswagen.
Yeah, I have like I talked to Rob Goulding. He's the one that helped me get in with the Volkswagens, and he helped me build my first car. And then he was telling me he wanted to get back into racing, so he wanted to build a Cobalt because he didn't want to take away like parts and stuff from us guys because it's starting to find getting hard to find parts for the Volkswagens. And so he jumped on that bandwagon, and then he was like, "Man, these are a different kind of animal to drive. Like he's like the throttle and everything else is just so different." And I haven't had my chance to get in a car yet, and maybe I can talk to Tyler or Alex or something maybe one day, and we can swap one night or something and go have some fun.
Yeah, for
Yeah, the
sure.
Cobalts seem to be even in the playing field, like exactly like like the Jettas and Volkswagens did to the Mustangs at one point too, right?
Yeah, we all seem that we're all on the exact same playing level this year, and everybody's out having fun. And there's different there's other makes too, like there's the Cavaliers and everything that are
Yeah.
pretty competitive. And same with Fabio in the 240. When he comes down, he's pretty competitive with us. And so it's not no more like one branded vehicle that's kind of dominating. It's kind of like everybody has a chance now.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a very even class right now, and the four cylinders. Doesn't matter what track they go to. You guys seem to be able to pack up really well and put on a good race. At Merrittville, you've already had two duel on the dirt events, and I feel like the duel on the dirt is kind of one of those things in street stock and mini stock racing where it's kind of an outside thing that maybe most people don't pay attention to, but it can kind of mean a lot for you guys. And as a past champion, maybe you could explain better to some of the audience that might not be so familiar with the duel on the dirt what exactly that title is, and why it matters to you guys as drivers.
Well, like the duel on the dirt is basically at one point I believe we were five tracks that we were traveling to and people were competing at, and I believe now it's just the four tracks around here: the Humberstone, Merrittville, Ohsweken, and Brighton. So basically, we're everybody's under a big like rule package, so everybody's like equal. So you don't have to just race at one track or two tracks. You have like four different tracks you can pick from. So any giving Saturday or Sunday or Friday, you can go and travel to a different track and race with other guys and not have to worry about getting disqualified because you're running something that they don't have in their rule package. Or it just opens up so many more opportunities for people to go out and have fun, and it even adds more to the car counts too. So like it's just great for us to put on a show for everybody, and it's not just a couple cars out there. It's a whole field. Like even at Merrittville, we've had like this past Saturday we had 30 cars start the race.
Hmm.
Like that's fantastic numbers. I remember back a few years ago we were getting maybe 10, 12 cars at Humberstone, and now it's like packed fields, and we're sometimes having B mains. Like it's crazy.
All right. I haven't worked on a mini stock very much in my life, so tell me what like the weekly maintenance stuff is for like you guys.
So weekly maintenance, we actually just did it yesterday on my car. Basically, we just we'll take the tires off. We'll check the spindles and suspension and the tie rods. Make sure everything's straight, nothing's bent or cracked or broken. Do some tire prep. Go over the motor. Make sure the motor mounts are all good, nothing's broken, and change some spark plug wires. Kind of like your basic like car maintenance you'd kind of do for your
Yeah.
street car because we're not as like higher up like street stocks where you have like the Hoosier tires and stuff. You gotta make sure those are prepped properly, and they have different kind of like maintenance stuff they got to do. So it's kind of simple, kind of little maintenance to go over every week. Just make sure all your nuts and bolts are tight and nothing's falling off, and make sure everything's all topped up with fluid.
And send it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask kind of what does the rest of 2023 look like for you? Obviously, in terms of where mini stocks are running, Humberstone hasn't gotten going yet. But what does the calendar hold for you, somebody who's got, obviously a young family and this is your first full season back? Are you planning to run elsewhere? Or are you keeping it at Merrittville? What's the plan for the 7C the rest of the year?
So the plan, we're gonna run. I believe we're running. I think there's 5 races or 6 races at Humberstone for mini stocks this year. So we're planning on running all 5 of those. We're gonna go up for the Art Hill for sure at Ohsweken. We're basically gonna follow the Duel on the Dirt series for the mini stock. So we're gonna go up on I think it's the 23rd for Applefest. I've never ran at Brighton, so we're gonna go and check that out and have some fun there. We're still looking at the schedule, seeing what can fit where, and if we can get a babysitter so we can go out and try different things. And we even thought about maybe going over to the Ransomville maybe one Friday night or Genesee or something on the one Saturday we have off. So I'm just out to have fun and try different tracks and go out and make new friends at other tracks and yeah, just see what's out there.
That's what racing's all about.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Something else I was kind of curious about too was, you know, with with the mini stocks this season and what you guys have to go through week to week to put on these shows. Do you guys feel like because you're a full fendered stock car series that you guys can kind of lean on each other a little bit more? It always seems like for whatever reason, the mini stocks and the Hoosier stocks, because you guys have those fenders on the race cars, you're not afraid to lean on each other, and you pack up really, really well. And we see 4 and even 5 wide racing sometimes with everybody coming away for the most part cleanly.
Yeah, it's pretty fun like when especially with me and Alex, like we're good friends and we talk a lot during the week and stuff and like when we race we're like door to door. You can probably put your hand out and touch the other person's door, but we're not touching. It's like really close and even like with Lubeck last week on one of the restarts, he was trying to push me up the track a little bit and like play with me, and then so he bumped into me, so I bumped him back, and we were doing some maintenance this week, and one of my wheel studs were actually bent from just that little bit of contact we did, and um, yeah, just the leaning on each other is fun, right? You don't have to worry about jumping each other's tires or anything crazy happening. I think it's a little different from Anthony Kelly like this year going into a mod light.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game when you get a open wheeled car compared to a fendered car.
Yeah, that'd be a way different jump driving styles between those two.
Absolutely.
Do you have any plans to ever move up, or do you just like where you're at with the mini stock?
I have a couple more like achievements I want to try to achieve. Like I believe it or not, I've won 2 championships back to back at Humberstone, but I have yet to win at Humberstone.
What?
Uh, I was just consistent top fives both years, and we had my final year in 2018. I had 7 runner-ups and no wins, and it was crazy. And I beat Jason Coutu that I think it was the second year or the first year by 1 point. Like it was like really close. And yeah, I've had a street stock, but I ended up selling it, and I've talked to my wife about maybe moving up to mod lights or something and try to grow that class. It looks like a lot of fun. I went into Meisner's in 2019. He let me take it out for hot laps, and they're different. I like a little bit of a challenge, and I think they're really fun looking cars and fun to drive.
They're pretty hard to drive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I drove one and I sucked.
They're pretty like technical for sure. Uh,
Oh yeah.
we'll get you out here on this one, Cole, and let you get back to your night because I've already kept you a little bit late with my running late, so apologies for that. But I wanted
No.
to get your take on our favorite question we ask everybody here, and we're going to include you in this. So I'm going to give you one race car and one racetrack to drive at for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if it's it can be something as high as Formula One or some kind of European sports car, all the way down to taking a mini stock out. Whatever your decision is.
Oh. One of out of the 3 tracks I've ran at so far, I would say Ohsweken. It was just a blast when I ran there. Like, if you can look down to your inside and there's like a car, then you look to your outside and there's 3 more cars, and you're coming out of the corner and you're looking down at the next corner and going, is someone going to lift, or are we all just going to go into that corner full tilt? Like, so I would say Ohsweken would be one of my top ones, but if I had a chance to go anywhere and try a track, I would say Bristol on dirt. I think that would be just a riot to go out there and just go fast on a big oval
Nice.
In a mini stock?
track. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to go out there and battle with those the Comp 4s they run there once a year now, I guess it'd be.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that. That one's a unique one. Nobody's said to stay in the mini stock and take it somewhere, so I like that. Thanks so much for your time, Cole. Thanks for telling a bit of your story, and good luck the rest of the way in the 4-cylinder division, and hopefully keep marching on towards a season-long title.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on and having a chat with you guys.
Yeah, it's awesome. Cole Hardy on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show, or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.